Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3855 AN. Today's date is March 8th, 2026, and the title of the episode is It's All About the Control of Energy. Crypto and blockchain are now national security priorities. Central banks cause inflation, and that is a threat to you, your savings account, your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even last year? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. My friends at Noble Gold Investment specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and makes it very simple. No pressure, just education and experience. Right now, all new qualified accounts will receive a free 1/10 of an ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Visit X22Gold.com. That is X22Gold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see they are continually moving with the deep state, the central bank, green agenda. And basically what we're going to see as time goes on is that the EU is going to completely and utterly implode under this agenda. And what people are going to see is that the United States is going to do very, very well because we're doing the opposite of what the deep state central bank, World Economic Forum is trying to do. And when you look at the EU, you can see they're doing just that. The EU has just signed off on a legally binding target to cut 90% of emissions by 2040, an economic suicide pact. It guarantees a contraction of consumption right in line with the UN's Agenda 2030. And basically, you could see at this point in time is that they're heading down a path of no return if they continue going down this path. Now, what's going to be very, very interesting is because Merz from Germany went to China, and now he's kind of siding with Trump right now, and maybe Germany decides to backtrack on all this because when Germany looks at their production, looks at what they've been doing, they're realizing that solar, wind, removing the nuclear plants, getting rid of coal-fired plants, getting rid of gas, getting rid of everything does not help their country whatsoever. And they could see a lot of manufacturers are moving out of Germany and moving to other countries. So let's see how this plays out. But we could see if the EU and the EU countries, and not every single one of them, but a majority of them, if they follow this path, it's going to be game over for all of them. And this is what Trump and the Patriots are stopping right now. Because Trump, I think we all saw that the deep state players, the central bankers, they were shifting everything to China. Everything was going to be moved out of Europe, moved out of the United States. Both of these regions were going to be something like a third world type of country or countries. And basically all production was going to be in China. And China was going to be in control of everything. And you could see that Trump now is basically shutting this all down and is actually using energy against the deep state, the central bankers, because he knows that the more energy you have, the more control of the energy, the better your economy. And I do believe this is why he shut down Venezuela, shut off all the cheap oil to China. Then it went into Iran. Yes, there's many different agendas associated with it, but if you look at the energy aspect of it, you could see now he's gaining control of the energy distribution, production in Iran. And once again, you can see that by doing this, Trump is going to control the market, which is going to bring cheap energy to the world, which is going to make oil prices go way, way down. Now, of course, at this point in time, you could see people are panicking because they've seen fuel prices go up a little bit. But you have to remember, under Biden administration, they went up quite a bit, a lot more than Trump. And Trump is not really worried about this because he understands once we take control over Iran, and once we have control of the distribution through the Strait of Hormuz, once we have the control of the distribution from Iran, and once they're no longer a terrorist state, the entire Middle East completely and utterly changes, which means cheap oil is going to flood the market. And he knows that the price of oil is going to drop dramatically. Now, do I think this is going to take 8 months, 9 months? No, I think it's going to happen in a very, very short period of time. And you have to remember, everything that Trump is doing right now is something the deep state players never wanted anyone to see. They never wanted anyone to see how strong the United States is and how these wars don't have to last forever. And you can see that Iran, most likely what they were trying to do is they were trying to basically cut off the world and, keep this going for a long time and hopefully strangle the world of oil. And this is why Trump stepped in and decided, you know what, we'll insure every single boat that sails through the Strait of Hormuz. We will protect every single boat with the military. And this is actually going against everything that Iran is trying to do because they want a long, drawn-out war. This is not going to happen. And we're going to see everything begin to change. But you could see over the time period of the Biden administration / Obama, basically the job numbers were fake. They caused inflation. They were pushing the entire country into the Green New scam, which means oil prices were rising. And he used the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to make it seem like everything is fine, even though it wasn't. Remember, Trump filled it up. Biden basically used that oil to maintain the oil prices to keep everyone in their illusion that, hey, everything's fine, gas is still affordable, and you have nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, in the background, they were trying to bring us into the Green New agenda. And you could see that Trump continually called him out on that. Now people could see it very, very clearly. And Trump now is basically filling up the strategic oil reserves. Once again, David Blackmon put this out and said, for all those fake know-it-alls, especially you in the media, who want to blame Trump for the depleted condition of the SPR, the facts are illustrated below. Joe Biden reduced it by a net of 240 million barrels of oil and damaged some of the underground caverns by pulling out and diminishing internal pressures too rapidly. Trump has added about 30 million barrels back over the last year, despite all the technical issues caused by the Biden abuse. That's the truth about the SPR. All else is smelly BS. The withdrawals during the first Trump term were forced by Congress in stupid programs to mask its out-of-control spending habits. So don't even try to go there. Chris Mart says the maximum rate at which crude oil can be added to the SPR is approximately 100,000 barrels a day, 3 million per month, due to pipeline constraints. But the SPR can be depleted at a rate of approximately 4.4 million barrels a day because it was designed to provide a rapid emergency supply during oil disruptions. The SPR holds a little over 700 million barrels of crude oil. At maximum rates, it would take 7 to 8 years to fill up from its current levels. Anyone with an IQ higher than a pumpkin understands that it cannot be done overnight, but the SPR has gradually been refilling since the drawdown ended. The leftards suggest otherwise must take an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. So basically, yes, Trump is refilling it. Biden put us in a very, very dangerous area. And you could see at this point in time that Trump now is, as he's refilling it, he's also going to be using oil from other places to do so. And remember, and Peter Sayong put this out, only 2% of our oil comes from the Persian Gulf. All this noise is Asians lining up to buy West Texas crude. So basically, most of our oil we produce here in this country. We don't get it from Iran. A lot of the Asian countries, Europe gets it from there. And basically, the United States, we're really not affected. Now, yes, there is noise, there is war. And of course, the way they have it structured in the globalist system, it does affect the oil price. Is this going to last for a very long time? I don't believe it will be. Peter Sayong put this out and said, some perspective on gas prices. Trump shut down the entire Middle East and gas went from $2.98 to $3.41. Biden got gas to $5.01 armed with nothing but a couple of trillion of federal waste and fraud. That is absolutely true. And when they asked Trump about central banks cause inflation, and that is a threat to you, your savings account, your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even last year? So what does the next decade look like for you? and your savings. If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. My friends at Noble Gold Investment specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and makes it very simple. No pressure, just education and experience. Right now, all new qualified accounts will receive a free 1/10 of an ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Visit X22Gold.com. That is X22Gold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. The oil and the oil prices. Trump says, I have no concerns about it. They'll drop very rapidly when this is over, and if they rise, they rise. But this is far more important than having gasoline prices go up a little bit. And he's absolutely right, because once again, when this is all said and done, which I do believe is going to happen in a very short period of time, I'm going to say it's going to happen way before the midterms. I wouldn't be surprised if this is all said and done in the next couple of weeks. And basically, once this occurs and we have control of the Strait of Hormuz and we have a different government in Iran, and Iran now is cooperating with all the other Middle Eastern countries, and now other countries can get this oil, and oil is now flooding the market. And remember, there's no barriers, there's no war, there's no fear or anything like that. And we control the Strait of Hormuz. We're ensuring the ships and defending the ships through the Strait of Hormuz. You're going to see oil prices drop like we've never seen before. And this is what Trump knows. He knows what is coming. This is why he's not concerned about this. Even if it goes up 30, 40, 50, 60 cents, it's not the same as Biden. And Trump dropped the oil quite a bit. So basically, he kind of mitigated this during this period of time. But I do believe once this is all said and done, we're going to see oil drop quite a bit. And it's going to be very, very low, lower than it was before the war. And you know what's going to happen as we get closer and closer to the midterms? People are going to forget about the oil prices shooting up a little bit during the first part of the year. All they're going to see is the oil prices going down and down and down. And people are going to start to realize, yeah, you know something? This is a good thing. And now I can fill up my car very cheaply. Electricity is a lot less. Heating my home is a lot less. And things are really looking good. Plus, he's doing this because you have to remember what's coming back to the United States. It's manufacturing. We need cheaper energy for manufacturing. So how do you do that? Well, you need control of the energy sector. You need to make sure there's no nations holding this back. You need to make sure that there's no terrorists out there holding this back. You need to remove the deep state, the central bank system. That's what you have to do. And that's what we're seeing right now. Trump is undoing everything the deep state has done. Remember, they put a lot of this into place to do what? To drive us away from oil, to drive us into wind, to drive us into solar, to drive us in a completely and utterly different direction. Now Trump is bringing us back. And while he's doing this, he's prepping this country so it can go back to sound money. And this is why he's focusing on stable coins. This is why he's focusing on cryptocurrency. This is why he's focusing on blockchain. Soon you're going to start to realize he's focusing also on precious metals. Now, I do believe he's saving that for last because, once again, he doesn't want to tip off the deep state, the central bank, which I think they already know what's coming. But again, he plays the long game here, and he tries to keep the deep state, the central bankers in the dark and focused on something else while he does things in the background. But think about what he put out. He put out the cyber strategy for America, and part of it is to sustain superiority in critical and emerging technology. Jason Lowery put this out and said, supporting cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is now officially an emerging technology priority in the U.S. presidential cyber strategy. So the document highlights the cyberspace originated in America and is integral to national security, economy, and daily life. It rejects incremental measures in favor of direct, proactive response, including offensive cyber operations. Key themes include protecting freedom of expression, outcompeting authoritarian technologies, modernizing systems, and fostering public-private partnership. And here are the 6 policy pillars, and this is the strategy. Deploy defensive and offensive cyber operations to detect and defeat threats before they breach U.S. systems, erode adversaries' capabilities using all instruments of national power, counter surveillance states, uproot cybercrime, and impose consequences. Streamline regulations to reduce burdens, enhance agility against evolving threats, and protect American privacy. Avoid costly checklists that hinder response and innovation. Accelerate updates with best practices like post-quantum cryptography, zero-trust architecture, AI-powered tools. Prioritize hardening sectors like energy, finance, telecom, data centers, and healthcare. Secure innovation by building privacy-focused technologies, supporting cryptocurrencies and blockchain, adopting post-quantum cryptography and secure quantum computing. Protect the AI stack. Implement AI for cyber defense and counter foreign AI platforms. Invest in cyber workforce as a strategic asset. So basically, you could see that this is all revolved around cybersecurity, crypto, blockchain, making sure that this is a priority. Why would he be doing this at this point in time? Because I do believe when we go back to sound money and we start turning towards Bitcoin, turning towards stablecoin, we need to make sure that these technologies are protected. And we need to make sure that everything is ready to go when we start to shift to sound money. And you can see this is exactly what is happening right now. And you can see that Trump is preparing the entire country for all of this. And the other thing that's very interesting is you can see that Trump now is reversing everything that the Biden administration have done. And they have been destroying, I'm talking about Biden and / Obama, they've been destroying our way of life. They've been pushing the Green New Scam, the cyber bank agenda. And Trump now has been reversing all of this. And Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, this is coming from Stephen Moore, new Unleash Prosperity study. 401k balance under Trump saw an inflation-adjusted gain of $20,715.1% for American workers. By contrast, during the 4 years of the Biden administration, the average 401k saw a crushing 24,800 real loss, minus 15.3%. Aggregate 401k balances topped $10 trillion for the first time in history, signaling a broad-based recovery from the Biden slump. 6 out of 10 of Americans have IRA or 401k accounts. And think about what Trump is doing right now. Everything the deep state, the central bankers have been trying to do, where they've been stealing our wealth, Trump is returning the wealth to the people every step of the way. And this will just accelerate as time goes on. And what we'll see is we'll see that your buying power, your wealth, Trump is going to be returning it to the people. That's the whole point of this. In the meantime, he'll be basically creating the foundation for the new money system. Because again, if we're bringing in money from the outside externally, and we're replacing the private West central bank system, number one, Trump has to return the wealth to the people. Number two, he has to protect the wealth of the people. Number three, he has to protect and set up the structure of the sound money system. Can we just go back to gold and silver the way it was? No, because in the long run, what will happen? The central banks will try to use this once again. They've done this for thousands of years. They know how gold and silver work. So I do believe along the way, Trump is going to be linking stablecoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and everything else together with gold and silver to protect it in the long run. And this is how we can maintain sound money, a sound money system in this country. Plus, once we get control of the House and the Senate, this will then allow us to basically set up the laws that we need to make sure the central bank system never comes back into existence. And we can actually then move the country into maybe adding another amendment to remove some of the amendments that we have and actually setting up an amendment, making sure that a central bank system never comes into existence. Because again, remember, this is the third one in this country. We already got rid of the other two. We're in the process of getting rid of one of the biggest ones we've ever seen in our lifetime. And this central bank system is not just here in this country, but it's across the globe. So to bring us back to the sound money, Trump is setting up the entire structure step by step and making sure that it's secure and the deep state players and no other entity can actually affect it. And you can see once this starts to occur, I do believe what he's going to do then, he's going to start to bring in the idea that, hey, let's see how much gold we have. Hey, do we have enough gold? Should we revalue the price of gold? Because remember, gold is valued at $42 an ounce right now, and if you look at what it really is, well, not what it really is, what they're reporting right now, which is 5,000. What it really is, I think it's closer to 15 to 20,000 when you remove the paper market. And I do believe at the right time, at the right moment, he'll be actually, putting out this narrative. And this is when you'll know that we're moving in a completely different direction. And you'll start to understand that the foundation is built, prepared, and ready to go. And we're moving into a completely new age, the golden age. And I do believe he's called it the golden age because we're going to be using gold. We're going to be using stablecoins. We're going to be using crypto. We're going to use blockchain to actually create and actually protect the real money. And this will allow us to separate ourselves from the central bank system and move in a completely different direction. And once people see this, once people understand that the central bank system has been taking our wealth and we've been having to work harder and harder over time, the people will start to realize what's happening. And once that occurs, everything changes. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.